For 14.3 million Americans, death will be the only way to retirement. This is going to be a longer video, but stick around. It's very likely worth your time because you're either closer to retirement or you'll get there inevitably. I read the "death is my retirement" comment one too many times to disregard it, and this is especially also because the comments mostly came from Gen Xers. And realistically, the future for Gen X is bleak, but let's find out how bleak it really is. Our starting point for Gen X are 65 million Americans born between the mid-1960s to the early 1980s, when music was better and Reagan hasn't fucked up the country yet. Many of those Gen Xers are heading toward the tail end of their careers, closer to retirement than they are to the beginning of their careers. And there it is, and that is the fabled word we're going to address here, retirement. 64% of Gen Xers stopped saving for retirement because they couldn't afford to pay into their accounts. 35% of Gen Xers sacrificed or reduced retirement contributions to afford basic necessities, and 26% stopped retirement savings so they can pay their credit card bills. But fear not. It's actually going to get worse. 56% of Gen Xers have less than $100,000 saved for retirement compared to the recommended $550,000 that Americans need to retire in some semblance of comfort. Worse yet, 22% of Gen Xers have nothing saved for retirement. So if you're running the math here, 65 million Americans that are Gen Xers, 22%, comes out to 14.3 million who have nothing to their names. Enter the ever-so-wise words of the financial gurus. Gotta save some money there, bud. Well, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median weekly earning of full-time workers comes out to $1,100 or $57,200 gross a year. Now consider the ever-increasing cost of, well, everything, and in conjunction with stagnating wages, Americans have racked up $17.05 trillion with a capital T in debt in Q1 of 2023. This includes 80% of Gen Xers carrying some form of debt spread between student loans, car loans, or credit card balances, and 52% of the 80% carry $10,000 in non-mortgage related debt. Okay, so Social Security is going to get us out of this mess, right? Well, not if Republicans get their way.
So that would potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
Let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point they will be. That's actually the easiest of all things, if you look.
We should try to look at entitlements, look at restructuring Medicare.
What they need to be doing is looking at entitlements. Look at Social Security. Look at Medicaid. Look at Medicare.
Turning Medicare into a voucher system.
It's a really good start.
Our entitlement programs, there's no doubt that we have to wrestle this beast to the ground.
What's going on with the debt?
It's very disturbing, and it's driven by the three big entitlement programs that are very popular: Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. Hopefully, at some point here, we'll get serious about this.
I'm here right now to tell you one thing. It will be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it.
Tell me if you're willing to cut spending for Social Security.
I think everything has to be on the table.
So you are willing to cut money?
I think it's absolutely imperative.
What about Medicare?
I think it's absolutely imperative whether it's Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid.
To be clear here, Social Security is not an entitlement beyond the fact that all who paid into Social Security are indeed entitled to receive their contributions in full, not in form of a fraction or not at all, but exclusively in full. And Katie Porter has some words of wisdom here too.
And in fact, we currently have over $2.9 trillion surplus. So, do we need to think about how to make Social Security as strong and as viable for future generations as we can? Absolutely.
For added clarity, in 2022, the average Social Security check was $1,720 for a 66-year-old and $1,845 for a 16-7-year-old. That's $20,640 to $22,140 per year. So if you do your own math here, is that sufficient for you? So what are the potential consequences of this stack of systemic greed's enhanced financial misery? Active wage dependency will not stop, but only get worse over time. The aging greeter at your local store, likely a kind elder who deserves to enjoy the rest of their lives on their terms, will become even more commonplace, but those jobs are going to be harder to come by because 14.3 million elderly Americans will likely fight for these spots just to make ends meet. And that does indeed sound like we're doomed, doesn't it? Because Indeed, we are. Unless we significantly change the system, eliminating greed capitalism, indentured servitude, indoctrination into consumer debt, and apply broad oversight by representatives who we elect to truly represent us, the 99%. So it's either peaceful elections or the alternative, which is more akin to France 1789. So now we have a choice: participate to change the system towards social responsibility, or arrive at the ultimate retirement while you're at work or in between shifts. The choice, indeed, then is ours.